Hi, Foothill Church. My name is Maria San Nicolas, and I will be reading from Psalms 90. And Psalms 90 is a prayer of Moses, a man of God, and the context of it is during the 40 years in the wilderness. And I chose this psalm because of its relevance to my personal life, and I have been extremely blessed by going over and over the scriptures myself, so I am sure that you will be blessed with them. Let's begin with verse 1. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Moses understood that security and safety and peace, which is what our hearts long for most and need, was not found in a place, but in a person. Verse 2 reads, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting you are God. Moses reminds us of the eternality of God. In his experience in the wilderness, in his slow route to Canaan, Moses saw the mountains on the horizon and reflected on the truth that God existed before these mountains. It was God who formed the earth and the world. You know, time has no limits for God, but for humans it does. And these next two verses will explain that. Verse 4 and 5 read, for 1,000 years in your sight are but yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep them away as with a flood. They are like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. Spurgeon's quote is, here's the history of grass. Sown, grown, blown, mown, and gone. And the history of man is not much more. So what can we learn with these verses? We need perspective about how short our time on earth is, so that we don't view our time on earth as all there is. Verse 12 reads, so teach us to number our days that we will get a heart of wisdom. So teach implies that wisdom must be learned. It is not automatic. Most people live with little awareness that this life is short and that our days are numbered. Young people especially often think that their days have no number and give little thought of what lies beyond this life. We need satisfaction that comes from knowing that we are recipients of God's unfailing love. Moses understood that this love was not rooted in money, in fame, in romance, in pleasure, or success. It was satisfied in God's mercy and love alone. And my favorite psalm is the next one, is verse 14. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice all our days. Foothill family, we need hope. Hope that our lives will not be forever defined by the evil and suffering of this life, but instead will be made radiant with the glory of God. Verse 15 reads, make us glad for as many days that you have afflicted us, and for as many years as we have seen evil. A Spurgeon quote is, give us the lamb since you sent the bitter herbs. God, who is great in justice when he chastens, will not be little in mercy when he blesses. He will be great all through. Let us appeal to him with unstaggering faith. You know, as parents, we long to experience God's redeeming, resurrected power in our lives and in the lives of our children. And Moses knew that. In verse 16, it says, let your work be shown to your servants and your glorious power to their children. And here's my last Spurgeon quote. How eagerly do good men plead for their children. They can bear very much personal affliction if they may but be sure that their children will know the glory of God and thereby be led to serve Him. We are content with the work if our children may but see the glory which will result from it. We sow joyfully if they may reap. And the last psalm in this, the last verse in Psalm 90 is, let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. Yes, establish the work of our hands. May Foothill Church be known by loving one another earnestly as we serve one another. This is God's word. Bye-bye.